we've reached a point where it's clear the Democratic Party's agenda and direction just aren't working, even for Democrats. Some are so frustrated with the lack of clear messaging, they're leaving the party altogether. I'll give you an example. Chicago Alderman Nicholas Posada.
Democratic Party has gotten out of control. I did not leave the party left me. So they're just embracing the lefty loons of the world. I don't understand it. I really don't. They're embracing crime, criminals, lefty, hard left people. I don't understand it.
So even liberal commentator Ezra Klein recently warned that Democrats need to embrace what he calls an abundance agenda, focusing on infrastructure, innovation, and hopefully a vision instead of simply reacting to threats, mainly from President Trump. But Dems don't seem to be listening because the only thing consistent is them not liking the current president.
Well, Caitlin, I do a really good imitation of a chicken. If you'd like to hear it, I can do it. But I'll say it again. TACO, Trump always chickens out.
Donald Trump is an authoritarian. Donald Trump wants to be a dictator. Donald Trump is subverting the rule of law, deploy military forces in order to undermine free and fair elections in 2026.
I don't think Donald Trump wants another election. Who spends $200 million on a ballroom at their home and then leaves? He's talking about eliminating voting machines he doesn't like, where he can declare a declaration of emergency for anything. ICE is not going to show up around voting and polling booths to chill participation.
Really? So what's the path forward? Because at this point, the old Trump is terrible, he is trouble, has lost its punch. Plus, in 3 years, like it or not, he's going to be gone. Joining us right now, Fox News contributor, Outkick host Tommy Lahren is fearless. I love it. Great show. Along with Democratic strategist, former press secretary for Jill Biden, Michael LaRosa. Michael, great to see you. Your thoughts on what, if they asked Michael LaRosa what the Democratic winning theme would be, what would you say, Mike?
I wrote this for FoxNews.com earlier this week. It's common sense, cultural common sense. Our North Star has to be that. This is a midterm election. This isn't a national contrast between two specific personalities, strengths and weaknesses. This is about 45 to 55 competitive seats and who can best represent those communities. That's what the fight is all about. So what works in Long Island won't work in the Lehigh Valley where I'm from. What works in the suburbs of Colorado or Denver won't work in Orange County. That's where the fight is going to be. That's where the majority will take, that's where Democrats will take back the majority, in those places.
Common sense and culture. Right now, the Democratic Party was asked, members of it, what do you think of your party? 63% unfavorable, 33% favorable. That's according to the Wall Street Journal. So, Tommy, do you think fighting the culture fight, going after the culture, will be working? Because the Ezra Klein method is do it right. And the best example is the train to nowhere. It's supposed to be between San Francisco and Los Angeles. 10 years later, they still haven't built it, and it's billions of dollars are into it. Democrats have to show they can get things done.
Well, you're exactly right, Brian, and that's the big problem here, because President Trump is presenting a lot of problems that he has a solution for. You see crime, you send in the National Guard, you do whatever you can with the authority and power you have to make a difference in everyday Americans' lives. But I'll tell you, I think the biggest problem with the Democrat Party now is that they're quite frankly bored with the issues that impact everyday America. I think they are tethered to LGBTQ, BLM, Antifa. They are tethered to illegal aliens. They are tethered to communism, socialism, Palestine, all the things that get people out to riot, to loot, to protest. That is what they are tethered to, because that excites them. That gets them headlines. That gets them podcast opportunities. That gets them Jasmine Crockett on cable news. That doesn't get them anywhere with everyday Americans. But I think that they are so enthralled with lights, camera, action that all those bread and butter kitchen table issues, I think they've thrown those to the wind. It just doesn't excite the Democrat Party right now.
So one person used to work with Jen Psaki, press secretary turned host. She says this: I never saw signs of President Biden's decline, but has no problem talking about Donald Trump's health. Listen to this.
I never saw that person, not a single time, and I was in the Oval Office every day, that was on that debate stage.
And that absence, and you may have seen this over the weekend if you looked at any social media platform, prompted quite a wave of online speculation about the president's health and well-being. And look, we may never know why Donald Trump suddenly spent a week hiding entirely from the American public.
If there's anyone in America, Michael, that doesn't hide from the American public, it's Donald Trump. He was just down for a few days while giving interviews on the radio. Your thoughts about that strategy?
Well, you know, Jen's been a friend and a mentor of mine for about 15 years. When I left TV to go to Capitol Hill and then to go work on a presidential campaign, she was a close mentor, and I got to work with her on the transition and in the White House. But look, she's a cable news host now in prime time, and she clearly wants to keep that job. So I think she understands and knows where her bread is being buttered, and it's in a very narrow slice of a very left-wing audience. But Jen is smart enough, and Jen knows very well that her audience that she's playing to right now and throwing the red meat to is not a reflection of Democratic Party voters. If it were, Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders would have beaten Joe Biden 4 years ago.
Here's the interesting thing. If you're going to tell me I never saw the Joe Biden on that debate stage behind closed doors and then says, by the way, Donald Trump's hiding a health problem, both things can't be true. Don't expect me to believe it because we know that Joe Biden was failing behind closed doors because I know what happened when the doors were open. Listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Representative Governor, Senator Braun, Senator Booker, Representative Jackie, are you here? Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here. Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people. He'll never extinguish their love of freedom.
So obviously Jackie had passed away. These are major gaffes in front of the camera. Tommy, did you see what Jen didn't?
I think we all did, and I've never spent a day around Joe Biden in my life, and I could see it. You know, Brian, you could see it. I'm sure you haven't spent much time around Joe either. I think Michael, if he's being honest, will also say that he probably saw it as well. So here's the reason why these audiences on MSNBC and CNN are shrinking really by the minutes, because they're lying to their audience. Why would anyone trust Jen Psaki with anything? Either she's an imbecile and she can't see what's right in front of her face, or she's lying to the American people about what she saw. I would also say, Michael, you got to get a better mentor. I would recommend Brian Kilmeade.
I'm available. So far, there's a lot of mentors in my office right now waiting, but I'll find room for you, Michael. Real quick, your response.
Thanks. Yeah, look, Jen was probably the best hire Joe Biden made by going outside of his comfort zone and finding somebody who really wasn't tethered to sort of the cult of the Biden world. She's a gifted communicator, but look, she's a primetime cable news host now. She wants to keep that job. She's playing to the base. She's throwing the red meat out there. She's doing what she has to do to keep her show.
Michael and Tommy, great job. Thanks so much.